here from StampAnniething, and today we're going to do our StampAnniething Kawaii Cutie Happy as a Clam Shaker Card Kit. Your kit has the contents to make 2 complete cards, and let's go ahead and get started and show you what should come in your kit to make sure you have everything that you need. So the first thing that you need to know is in this kit you should have 2 of everything except for your sequins. Your sequins you get 1 pack because this is enough to make more than even 2 cards. So you should have 1 of these and then 2 of everything else I'm about to show you. So the first thing that you should notice that you have are 2 cards, bases, and their envelopes. A white card mat for your card base, and then a blue bubbled sheet mat for your card base. You should also have, a solid clam-shaped chipboard piece and an peachy orange-shaped cardstock piece. You should have 2 clam-shaped acetate sheets, 2 sentiments that say "You make me happy as." You should have 6, let's show you these, 6 of the frames. This is what's going to make your shaker wall. There should be 6 of them. So 3 are for one card, 3 are for the other. Then you should have 2 orange frames. And then you should have 2 word chipboard pieces that are going to say the word clam. And then you're going to also have a Ziploc baggie. And inside the Ziploc baggie, you should have 2 sets of the letterings of the word clam, 2 of the white mat boards, 2 clam faces, 2 sets of pink cheeks, and 2 sets of the black T-shape that we're going to be using on their eyeballs later. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 set aside while we work with the other one. So the first thing that I would like for you guys to know is that the chipboard and everything is cut on a laser. So there's sometimes, because a laser is burning the material as it cuts, sometimes residue might be left on the sides of the cut pieces. I just always like to sort of run my finger across that to see if there's any residue still on there, because the worst thing that can happen is you do get residue on some pieces, and then when you go and grab your sheet of paper that you're going to be using, especially light colored paper, you don't want to transfer those burns onto your paper. So basically what I try to do is I work with the chipboard pieces first. That way I can then grab a piece of a diaper wipe or some hand sanitizer and wipe off my hands so I'm not transferring anything around. So to begin with that, we're going to take our frame pieces, and like I said, there's 3 of them. And you want to first dry fit and make sure that they're all going to fit together because they are not all asymmetrical. Well, these might be, but on all of our kits, not every piece is going to be symmetrical. So you always want to make sure everything is going to fit together first before you start gluing everything. And so I'm going to now just take my glue and I'm going to make a run around the border. And this is what's going to make the frame for my shaker bits. And then this little part is where the pearl goes later. And I'm just going to begin by stacking one on top of the other. And because they're the same size, I like to run my fingers around the edges so that I know that everything is lining up and I have nothing that is being pushed over too far, because these are the exact same sizes, so they should line up perfectly. And you can see here, obviously on the inside, when I was running my finger, I got this residue. So the burn on the outside was okay, but the burn on the inside was not. So this is why I work with my chipboard first, so that then when I work with the paper, I can take the paper, wipe my fingers before it gets transferred onto my paper. So just always be conscious of that whenever you're working with any of our kits. There's always the chance that residue will be left. So we're going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to actually go and clean my finger And we're going to do it again to see if any more residue. So now my finger is clean, my pointer right here. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run my fingers again, just like I did the last time. Just helps me keep it knowing that all of my spots are lining up perfectly on the inside and the outside. And as you can see, again, I got some more residue. So the inside of this frame still has some residue on it. And it's okay. It's not going to ruin your project or anything, but you just want to make sure that you do get some hand sanitizer or go and wash your hands before you continue on mixing in with your paper, because you, again, don't want to transfer that. Next, we're going to use our large piece of our chipboard, which is our clam base, and you're going to have your cover sheet to that. Now, on some of these pieces, it's hard to tell. Most of them are going to have that textured front as opposed to the back of the cardstock, but sometimes it's hard to tell, so you sometimes need to look at the edges and you'll see scorching and burn marks from the laser. That's how you know that's the wrong side of the sheet. So then you can go ahead, you want to always kind of dry fit it first, make sure it's lining up proper, and it is, and then you can go ahead and add your glue. Just like so. And then add your colored paper right on top. Same concept like I do with all of my videos. I like to run my fingers along the edges. That way I know everything is lining up and then I don't have anything overhanging on the back side. That's what's great with the wet glue. Gives you time to play with that. And then I like to take a brayer and just kind of go over it a little bit. The brayer is just going to make sure your paper is having nice even pressure on the contact, and it's also going to smooth out the glue for you. See what happened here? I had a little bit on my finger, it transferred. I'm going to try and wipe it off a little bit. I do not use a wet rag to do that. It'll ruin the paper, but it's going to get covered most of that anyways with the embellishment, so I'm not going to go too crazy and being upset that it got a little bit ruined. So now we're going to take our frame, which is our little pearl head, and that is going to lay on top of our base like so. So what you're going to want to go ahead now and do is put some glue on the back side, and we are going to just add that right on our little base. Again, lining it up, making sure nothing is overhanging. And then I'm going to take that brayer once more, just to make sure I'm getting a really nice and strong adhesion. Sometimes I like to turn it over so I can rub it even harder. Because this is thick chipboard, not the standard kind you get at stores, you do want to add some pressure to it. Now this is the part that's going to get filled with your decorative elements of your sequins. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it aside, because in case any glue seeped through, and there's always going to be some somewhere that might have seeped through, I don't want to put my shaker bits in this yet, because then the shaker is going to get attached to the glue there. So I'm just going to put this aside to dry in the meantime, and then we can come back to it and add our shaker bits later so that they don't get stuck in there. And while I'm going to wait for that to dry, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll start on our little clam. So we're going to go into our little bag here, and we want to remove one of the mats for the word that says clam, and then we want to take out one of the faces for the pearl. We want to take out the letterings that spell out the word clam. You should have two sets, so you just need a C, an L, an A, and an M. We need this little T-shaped black, and then we need two little pink circles for the cheeks. to take all of this out to get to those cheeks. And if your kit happens to be missing, like the little pink or the black piece, you can always contact us, and of course we can always send that to you as a missing piece. But if you didn't want to wait for it, all you need to do is get a scrap piece of construction paper or cardstock that you have. And all these are doing is this is just to fill in and cover the black out of its eyes and its cheeks on the opposite side. So you can just cut out a strip of paper and just put that on there as well. If they're missing for whatever reason. But we did take care of it. All of them should have them. So, I just lost my head. Okay, so here is my clam. You can definitely tell this is the back side. It's got more of the scorching on it. And then we have this black T spot. The T is to cover the 2 dots of his eyeballs and his mouth, but without hitting the 2 cheek colors. So you're just going to put a little bit of glue around the eyes and the mouth. And then you could put this black sheet right over it. Again, you still have that wiggle room to get it to work properly. And again, you just want it to cover its, his eyes and the mouthpiece. And you can double check that when you turn that over. Its eyes and its mouth is covered. And then you're going to do the same concept for the cheeks. So just a little bit of glue here. And you just want, let me grab it. These are smaller than on some of our other kits. The faces are bigger. But I'm just going to take the cheek here, cover that dot. And then we're going to take the cheek here and cover that dot. And now you can see on the, this part shifted, so I'm going to fix that really quick. Got to put this underneath. Right there, get this pink for my cheeks. There we go. Oh, and I moved this one. Woo, alright. Alright, and then you have your face pieces here. And the reasons why we do this is you can see how tiny these circles are. If you were to have these as cutouts and then trying to glue them on, they would definitely probably be missing pieces. So we don't want to do that. Okay, the next part is our chipboard word base. And you just want to really make sure that you are aligning it correctly. It's only going to fit one way. So just play with it until you get it to fit like a puzzle piece. It's only going to fit the one way. Once it does, go ahead and put your glue and then your mat down. And basically this whole entire kit is basically like putting a puzzle together. All the pieces just fit together. So you can just put it together and be done with it. Okay? And then this is going to spell out the word clam, so I'm just going to take my letters, and I like to just kind of dry fit them so that I can see the gap in between the letters, so I can see how big my mat spacing should be, so I can just kind of get an idea of how the letters should be looking before I actually glue them down. Okay. It's going to look something like that. Now, how you glue them down is completely up to you. Some people like to glue left to right. Some people like to glue from the center and then work the letters out right so they space them. Some people like to glue backwards. It's just a personal preference of what you like. I tend to, whatever reason, and I don't know why, I tend to glue my letters backwards. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some of my glue on my letter M. And then I can go ahead and start eyeballing and trying to just center them where it's got even amounts of the mat around it. And then just continue this with all of my lettering. And we're just going to continue this. You just want them to be evenly spaced and as straight as you can. Like so. We got one more letter here, the letter C. And this is when tweezers really are going to be like, oh, you know what? I almost glued the C the wrong way. This is my textured C. That's what you got to always make sure, because the C either way is going to look the same. Make sure you got the textured side to be your upside. Almost just blew it right there. And then my C for clam. And there is that. And I'm just going to have the clam like so. And now your glue is more than likely pretty much going to be dried at this point on here. So then what you're just going to do is go ahead and get your sequins out. And you're going to go ahead and fill in your wall that you created. You can use as many or as few sequins as you'd like. You can even put other embellishments if you have some at your home besides the one that comes with the kit. You just want to make sure that they don't go any higher than the wall. And this is a bigger space than on some of our other kits, so I'm going to put a little bit more in there. But you will see that you still have plenty of sequins to do another card or two in here. So I'm just going to put that aside, and I'm just going to kind of shake them so that they're laying flat. And basically, you just want to make sure none are coming over on top of that wall. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find your acetate, and we're going to glue this on top. And so for that, I'm just going to put a bead of glue around my frame, just like so. And swirl it around. And then we're going to take this acetate and we're just going to lie it on top. And I'm going to fidget with it and feel that my sides are smooth, the top, everything is evening out. And then I just kind of use my finger to push it down, make sure it's going. And then after I do that, I usually use my fingernail. This is when you can also use a brayer. And I just, at this point, it's kind of just going to push the glue more towards the edges. So you're getting a nice adhesive connection of the acetate to your chipboard. You can see here how it's getting pushed with my fingernail a bit. You could just use your ball of your finger as well. You just really want to make sure you have a nice connection of the acetate to your chipboard. And then you're going to go ahead and take your frame piece, and that you're going to glue right on top like so. So again, now you can either glue the back side of your paper or you can glue right on the acetate. I prefer to do it on the acetate. Just remember, you're not covering this ball part because your frame does not have this yet. So if you're going to do it on the acetate, you're just going around the clam like so. Because on your frame piece, you have that straightaway piece, which is just going to go straight across like so. And then I'm going to make sure my paper is upside right with the textured piece. And now I can just go ahead and make sure that it is lining up. Again, I use my finger so I can feel if something is not right. And now I can go ahead and push that down with my finger. And then the only part that's left now is we're going to take our sweet little pearl face, and that's going to get glued right on top. So just add your glue here. And you can have them, you know, straighten them out as much as you possibly can, because you might end up putting them on an angle. not purposely, but go ahead and add him there. Then I like to turn it upside down and brayer it so I know I'm getting a really good adhesion with all of these layers. It's very thick layered, as you can tell at this time. It's very 3D. And here is your cute little shaky. Now we get to put that aside and work on our card. And you're just going to take your card base and your white mat, and all you need to do is glue your card mat to your base. So just go ahead. If you can do these however you normally do your card mats. If you don't use glue but you like to put card mats on with your tape runner, by all means do whatever you normally do. You don't have to glue it if you like to use tape instead on this part. Whichever is how you normally do them, because we're just making a card base at this time. And then again, I like to put my brayer, get my brayer going, make it nice and flat. And then I'm going to take my bubble paper, and my bubble paper is going to leave me about 1/8 of an inch border all around, which I'm going to just have to eyeball. So just go ahead and glue that down. You just kind of eyeball this right in the center, making it as evenly spaced around as you can. And then I'm also going to flatten that. Okay. Now you have your card and your embellishment part. It is not going to fit as a portrait card. It's going to hang over, which you can do it this way if this is going to end up being a card you hand someone. But if you're going to mail it, you're going to want to do it in landscape mode. That way it fits on the actual card so it can fit in your envelope. And I'm just going to figure out the placement of how I want my things to be. And I know that it's going to say, you make me happy as a clam. Now, because the card has so much dimension to it, your sentiment strip and your word clam is not going to be adhered to your mat. So you don't want it to hang over too much. Not so much the chipboard part, but this flimsy, happy as a part. You don't want it to hang over too much, because over time, although this part's all going to be glued, this won't, and you don't want it to get worn off so much. So I like to put it and, plan all that out in my head prior to how I want to have it done, so it has the most chance of surviving a longer period. So with that known, I'm going to go ahead and take my clam, and I'm going to go ahead and just center him in the bottom. I'm going to first make sure your card is opening the right way. I've done that enough times that my card came out upside down. And I'm just going to go ahead and get the chipboard all prepped with some glue on it, like so. And then I'm just going to center it top to bottom and side to side in my card as best as I can. I'm just going to push him down here. Okay, and now back to figuring out my sentiment. So I want the little strip not to hang over too much to caps on. The chipboard part is really thick, that it's going to last. It's not going to, get damaged over time, because it's not actually adhered to anything as much as the little hanging over part of the you make me happy as a clam well. So I'm going to probably put it on this bend here. It's the third bend from the center off the top. And I'm probably going to glue from the word as to the left side is what I'm going to glue to have on my acetate here. With just a very small area of just the word or as being the part that hangs over. So just a small little part hanging over, like so. And if that's something that bothers you, you can always glue this on thicker cardstock to make it a little bit more sturdier if you'd like. And then my as a clam, I'm just going to glue right underneath it. And because if this is also hanging over, I know I don't need to glue the part of the M, so I'm going to glue everything to the left of that. And then I can just glue this right on here. I'm just going to press it down with my finger, like so. And then like before, just going to turn it over so I can brayer it. So I'm making sure I'm getting a nice adhesive to it. And now we have our You Make Me Happy as a Clam card done as well. So I hope you enjoyed this little direction tutorial on how our shaker cards go together. Again, you get enough to make 2 complete cards per kit. And these are our summer ones are out right now, and we will be having more coming soon, everyday ones, birthday ones, holiday ones, so just keep checking back. It's quick and easy. You can usually get a shaker card done in under a half an hour. And they make super cute cards. Just keep in mind, though, because they are so dimensional and bulky, that it probably is going to cost more than a standard stamp to mail them because of their bulk. So extra postage is probably going to be needed. I would suggest that you put it in the envelope and then mail this maybe in a bubble envelope so it does not get damaged in transit. Obviously, if you're just going to be handing it to someone, you don't got to worry about that. So thank you so much for joining us with the StampAnniething Kawaii Cutie Happy as a Clam shaker card. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.